In this video, I want to show you how to install the n8n, which is a workflow automation tool similar to Zapier, but to make workflow and tasks interacting with RAG AI models very, very efficient, and it seems like it's getting a lot of popularity. This is an open source project. It's a visual workflow editor, supports code and no code using JavaScript expressions, JSON, over 400 integrations with services like Gmail, Slack, GitHub, MySQL, PostgreSQL, APIs, and more. It's based on nodes. It has custom nodes to do different integrations and pass interfaces to the next step of the workflow. It has built execution logging and webhook support. For use cases, we have automation reports, sending alerts, monitoring tools, data syncing, custom ETL pipeline, social media posting, integration with APIs. To demonstrate the concept, is going to be running locally in a newer version of Debian. This particular messenger is going to be integrated with ntfy in Docker as well to be able to demonstrate the concept. The project is going to be hosted or virtualized in a machine using VirtualBox. Thank you, Oracle Linux, to sponsor this, and also it's going to be running the operating system host for the Docker containers host, the Debian, which I'm really excited to learn that actually in about almost 10 days the version 13 is coming out. Additionally, everything's going to be hosted and virtualized in Docker, which is going to be using as the container platform, and this video is being recorded by the portable version of ShareX. I don't know, it's a dated version 12 something, but it works really well. With all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. As I was saying, the first thing is going to be in a newly installed Debian machine. It's a virtual machine, VirtualBox. I only installed NeoFetch. I haven't done anything else, and I want to put the notes of the install. So the first thing is let's go ahead and get the Docker install, because we don't have it right now. We have nothing going on as far as Docker. So I'm gonna do without user, do the updates, app upgrades, clean up everything. Pretty standard stuff on Debian administration, or Debian based distros, I should say it. And it's pretty, as you can see, goes pretty straightforward. Now that we move ahead to the next part, let's add the official Docker's GPG key, which is going to be used for our install. And that's not going to take any time either. Just going to get the dependencies, I get everything there. It's going to be a few files that is going to be downloaded, and I want to put the notes, as always, of the install, so you don't have to screen capture or copy any of these steps. It can just kind of be a lot more enjoyable for the user. Let's add the Docker repo to the apt files, and that's going to go pretty straightforward. And we can do update for our package manager to get sync on everything. That should be fine. Probably like to do this one for a Red Hat version or Red Hat equivalent, whether I'm a Linux or RHEL or even Fedora. The main package is right here. Apt install Docker. Docker CLI is gonna put 480 megs. The download is gonna be different for your speed depending on your mileage. May vary in terms of your internet speed, the speed of your solid state drive, your RAM, your memory, your network overall. But it should be pretty straightforward. As you can see, I'm not going to stop the videos. We're moving at pretty good speed, so now this is live, and hopefully you get there not before long. Actually gets there. And the last part, I like to keep things tidy, and I like to use Docker as a user that is not typically, so I typically add myself to the group. And as you can see, you can just do rocker run hello world, and it goes there, goes to the GitHub, gets the image, and it runs and execute. If I do like also to have a portainer to run and administer my containers. So Typically, I like to install that one as root because the data will stores all the processes. I like to give a little more privileges than the user and let the user, regular user, just have the containers. I think it's to me makes more sense. So Docker composes some of the things is required. This will be take care, and eventually we can see that we have the Docker version ready. So as you can see, the user has access to Docker. I like to go ahead and create my portainer data as root and eventually run the portainer, and that should be able to get portainer going in the system. Also like to get need to allow the IP tables to allow port 9443. Docker is running. I can see that the portainer is running. One more thing I should do on this virtualized machine is grant him access on this particular VM to port 9443. 127.0.0.1 9443 on 10.0.2.15, which is the default IP on 9443. So we have the same IPs, the same ports. It should be fine. So with all that said, I should be able to go to HTTPS on port 9443, and sure enough, it's running. Here we go. And then we can have create a password, which actually should be something, you know, that you whatever you want, but not so simple. Password is not always password. And after I think it's something they don't like. Make sure I got it right. That should be fine. Yes, it is. Get started. Let me see containers, and sure enough, here's the one we run in Hello World. He's actually the other one that actually was Portainer. So Portainer is managing that. That's pretty cool. So that went well. That's all we need here. Docker install Debian we're completed here. Now let's go for the next part. The real part that actually we wanted to do is actually install n8n, and actually one of the oddities or just kind of cursor blazing of Docker, you have to have in the same container to have connectivity. So let's go through this YAML file real quick. Services n8n image, the port 5678. These two things is actually two things that I suggest to actually set up for the secure cookie active in case you want to run HTTP, and the other one is actually for some basic authentication. The user password, you can set up your variables, whatever is actually going to be the PostGRES database. This is going to install the container for n8n, and actually going to be making the connection to the Postgres. The same passwords on the Postgres user should be the one that you have here. Otherwise you have some issues. The same password, doesn't matter what it is, you can just make hashes or something. I'm gonna delete this VM anyways just for the video. ntfy, this is the one I was mentioning, needs to be in the same space, otherwise we're not gonna be able to reach the container name. And eventually I just put a AmericaFSLASHChicago. Now what container ID is the one that actually is going to be running. For my case, it's going to be ID 1000 because it's the user I created. That's the ID in GUID, user ID, and GUID group user ID that is actually going to be using for my Linux user. The internal port is going to be hitting is going to be 8080 from the outside, but from the inside word is going to be 80, and that's all she wrote. That's all we really need. So what I want to do is actually take this data, and again I want to put this one, and it's going to be part of our compose file. So let me go ahead and do here. I'm on my home directory. I can do for good practice make a project Docker cd Docker. Of course there's nothing n8n ntfy, and then I can do docker compose.yaml and paste what we have. That's about it. And then I can do docker compose dash daemon, and what it's going to do is going to start kind of getting the notify. It's going to get the database. It's going to get n8n, as you can see, just basic docker stuff. As soon as it's complete, they should be able to have reachability from all these folks, from the notify server. The database server is connected to n8n. It's downloading, it's completing, it's taking some time. It's actually, it's kind of a little beefy update if you see it, but actually he's doing his work correctly. So hopefully we're I don't know, 50-60% of the way. Notify is actually done. It's actually on the works. And database Postgres is about done, and then we're just waiting on n8n, which is actually about 50% of the way. This is actually the hardest part of the whole build. Once you have ready, it's all going to be bringing to your imagination what can you do in n8n. Integrations, monitoring, connecting AI, getting agents, different kinds of models. You can have local models. Eventually I might do some video for local models if there's enough interest, but it might take some time. I don't know. It's something in the works, but it's really fascinating to see how can bring AI to or usage, and actually everything that is changing and moving very rapidly. I can see this is taking a little time. The download complete, it says the extracting, it might take some time. Should be able to get there. Here, it's moving really fast now, but 90% we should be able to be done. Just about done. Creating, starting. All right. Seems like we got some success. So now, according to your XML file, we do have we need to add the port 8080 for notify. So and likewise on port 8080 we need to add ports 5678 for n8n. So let's go ahead and add those two, 8080 and 5678. So let's go back here, go to the ports, network, port forwarding. Let's add on 127.0.0.1 port 8080 and 10.0.2.15 8080, and is that right? I think it is 127.0.0.1 on port 5678 on 10.0.2.15 5678. Okay, let me do one more check just to make sure. Port 8080 on 5678, 8080 and 5678. Looks like we got it. Okay, so now let's go back to the browser and let's go to port 8080. Good deal. So now if I actually probably will have some let's create for this video, let's create one called video. Okay, and video not okay, or if I can just clean out the house, I can probably unsubscribe. Alright, let's create one. Let's subscribe to our topic called video. YouTube. Alright, So in this one tells me that if I do hi on YouTube, which is actually kind of the channel, I'm gonna copy this CLI, and if I do that here, hi, I can see the hi. I can modify this hello YouTube, and it's hello YouTube. Cool. So now I can create another topics in order to create some integrations with n8n, right? So if I do that, I need to open a browser on port 5678. And here I am. I'm on port 5678. It's loading. It's asking me to do something like admin. I'll put admin or localhost .com admin n8n, and password should be at okay. Okay, I create something goofy. It's just educational, and we're learning Google. So this is what it looks like right now. The workflow. Not really interesting, but it's there. I can create a workflow. One of the first things I suggest to use when you create a workflow is running locally, as you can see. It's actually change the name. My monitor. I'm gonna call my monitor, and I can add a first step that runs with triggers manually. It means when I click on execute, it will execute. If I execute right now, voila, it worked. So it's not really fun because it's actually showing that it run, but it did nothing. So it's not really useful at this time. So in this case, I'm going to try to create another workflow that actually is going to do something else for us. And eventually I can just do concatenate some of the HTTP requests. In this case, I can do from what we have in the curl command. And we can say it, in this case, import curl hi n8n n8n and import it. Now we have authentication. Notice it's actually trying to go for localhost. In reality, the server that should be actually added should not be that one, because I was talking about the oddities on Docker. Docker should really refer this one as ntfy. And why? Because when we build it right here with the name ntfy. So the DNS, internal DNS, and the networking of Docker should actually be pointing to that. So that's one. Let's use that one. Let's use the curl ntfy hi n8n. And let's copy this and actually import another curl. Let's put a new one, which is the ntfy. Now it's been updated, no authentication. Hi n8n, execute a step. And we see that actually did not like 8080 because the port on the ntfy externally we're exposing from the NAT on VirtualBox is actually port 8080, but the internal port within the container, within the Docker, is port 80. So this needs to be actually modified to that. Now it's going to work. If we actually change that or just modify directly, we can do the import again. The internal port, import the curl, is going to be the port ntfy port 80, and now if I execute, voila, it worked. And now I come back here and it says hi n8n because it was a space. Cool. So that worked. That's good. So we can see that actually doing something like that, it works well. And when we execute the workflow, as expected, it does his thing and it puts it twice at n. Cool. That's good, but that's not all. I wanted to go for it. What if, let's remove this one for a second. We start when clicking, and we can start it when it's almost like a cron job on steroids, on timers or events or something else. I wanted to take this one to take the first video for monitoring, and one of the things that actually it kind of got my attention that I thought it could be valuable for some folks is this. Sometimes we can have a command. Of course, we can have a command ping 8 all day long, but that's no fun. Ping does count 1, and the same thing to Google, and it's just one ping. Okay, that's good. We can have some timeout. But what if we actually become a little more creative and put a little shell command that actually tells me if the ping is okay or not? And if I happen to change the IP address of my destination, it tells me that fails in a timeout of 5 seconds. So I can get a return. I'm not worried about the milliseconds or how long it takes. I just return okay or fail with that snippet. Well, so in this case, something really cool, I can actually add a command, execute a command. And the command that I want to execute first is going to be exactly the ping to an IP address, and it's going to return if it failed or not. And if I do this and execute, it's going to return okay, the standard output. So in this case, I can add another part that is going to be a condition. I can add like a switch, and the switch is going to have some rules where if the standard output is okay, this is where I was talking about the JSON. The standard output is equal to okay, or see a standard output it dragged me some of the objects. Is equal to fail. Because that's what we expected, okay or fail. Not there a return. So in this case, I can use this to center. Did it actually change the first one? It did change the first one. It did. Let me try again. Now I have two outputs. Cool. So I have one or the other one. If the standard output is okay or fail, so it's going to see yay or nay. Either you reply. What I can do is actually HTTP request in one, which actually said, like we're saying, reply something like this. And if I import my curl, that's going to be a successful. And if I do the other one in the other case, HTTP request, I can actually have something like or do something else, right? Put a log or something, or get another circle, another loop, inner loop or something, and that will be it. Well, so in this case, if I execute my workflow, it took the path on the top, and it says actually, let me clean up ICMP. Okay, what happens if I happen to change on the switch on my command, and you probably see where I'm going with this. This is actually right now hard-coded. Eventually this can be a loop, a list, or some other source. The variable that is here, I can execute the workflow, and instead of spinning, it's going to return fail. It should go to the next one on the fail request because the output is there. And sure enough, look at that. It went there, and now it's fail. Of course, I don't want to keep hard-coded the variables. It was just a proof of concept. This could be a message to WhatsApp. This could be a message to Telegram. This could be a message to Discord. This could be a message to Reddit, an update on a Google Sheets. It can be an update in a database. Who knows? But my point is, right now, with simplicity, hosting in Docker, how can you actually run and create your own workflows with this great automation tool? Hopefully this great your interest. Of course, this is just the beginning. It could be a for loop on this one, get IPs, matching, do something else, be more creative, call sub workflows and everything. I just wanted to scratch briefly the installation and the process to get you started. Hopefully this brings some of your curiosity. Hopefully you enjoy it as much as I do. Never stop learning, and hopefully if you enjoyed the video, if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, share with your friends, and thank you until the next time. Have a great day. Look forward for Debian. Bye now.